My name is Rabbi Chinedu. I want us to continue from where we stopped in our discussion concerning the role women play in a man's life. Before we roll into the end thing, the main thing, I want to ask if you're subscribing, liking, and equally sharing this to your friends and well wishers for them to also be part of the benefit, people that benefit from this awesome teaching. As a matter of fact, it's very rare. Your pastors may not tell you this, but this is a simple truth. Because your pastors, based on the theoretical aspect of human existence, but based on the practical aspect, any of the things you learn from here, put them to practice. You see the effects. You see that your life will never remain the same. We have to dive into the end thing, talking about the womanhood, the role they play in the life of a man. As a matter of fact, when I was privileged, like when I talk about my inner nature, inner master, a lot of you may not really understand what I'm talking about. Because in subsequent episode, I'm going to open your eyes to understand the kind of personalities that works with every man. So my inner nature took me on a journey. You can call him inner nature, inner nature, or you can call him your inner master. It took me on a journey. Because when I talk about inner nature, inner master, is a being or personality that was born with you the very day you were born. So the personality was equally born. But religion will never allow you to develop this personality because it's the one that sees ahead of you. The Bible said that the Spirit of the Lord will go ahead of you and will make every crooked path straight. This is the personality I'm talking about. No, a lot of you may be interested to understand what this personality is. As you keep following, you will understand. So I was taken to a spiritual journey in one of my, one of my spiritual adventure. So my inner nature took me to a realm called the camp of women. Initially I used to be one of those that make light of women. I treat them anyhow. But when I come to the realization of the role they play, the role they play, I don't make light of them anymore. You can see some young men will just see a lady today, they entice them, I'll marry you or not marry you. That's a big deal. But before I dive into the rating, I want to tell you the story of my life. When I was still single, I met a young lady, and this young lady spent some years when things was very rough. Not knowing that unconsciously, this particular lady had entered into a divine covenant with her. But so many of you are into so many covenants without knowing. So this lady, when I decided to marry, I abandoned her by the wayside and now got married to a lady that I'm still living with today. But for the past 17 years of our separation, things was very difficult. Until the day I grew myself, I understand who I am. Then my inner nature told me what the problem was. I was asked to go back to that lady and apologize, of which I did. Following the instruction as my inner nature asked me, less than 1 month, things changed. There was a transformation that began in my life, kind of things has never been the same. So I was taken to the realm, a camp called the Camp of Women. On getting there, I saw 3 kinds of women. I was shown a woman, she was naked from head to toe. Because when you talk about spiritual dimension, every man is naked. You may pretend in the physical realm, but when it goes to the spiritual realm, no man pretends. Because you don't need to speak with any man audibly. Your heart communicates with every other human within and around. In other words, you cannot hide anything from any other. No hypocrisy, no pretense. So I was shown a woman that sat on a queen's chair, but naked from head to toe. So that particular woman was introduced to me and that woman sat on a skull of a man. Her two legs was placed on top of a man's skull, and that woman was called Jezebelic kind. I will portray points concerning this individual. Then when the woman was introduced to me, I saw another group of women. They were more in number, greater in number. They were also introduced to me and as Delilah kind. They were more. Don't forget, I said they were more in number. So, as I saw this multitude of women, they were all naked from head to toe. They were feasting. All of them were kind of feasting like where maggot feast on a rotten meat. Behold, my inner nature asked me to look under, to look beneath. And I saw that these women were feasting on on men. I asked my inner nature what that meant. He said, all these men that they are feasting on, these are the destinies of men. That these women survive by feasting on the destinies of men. And then another woman appeared in the midst of every other naked woman. Then that woman was also introduced to me. She had 3 names. This woman, one of her names is called Virtuous. Another name is Wisdom. So, I was asked, along with my inner nature, to follow this woman. Remember, I told you that this woman was given a name. If you read from the book of Proverbs chapter 31 verse 10, the Bible talks about a virtuous wife who can find. They also read from the book of Proverbs, chapter 14 verse 1. The woman was addressed as wisdom, as good. So she had 3 names. I was asked to follow her along with my inner nature, and we followed this woman. And then we saw another camp. The camp was written, a camp of rest. So getting into the camp, I saw not the kind of multitude I saw in the women camp, but there were few now. Then my inner nature told me that, do I know the calibers of men that are here? I said, I don't know. He now told me that every man you see that pass into this camp of rest, it is the women that helps them to pass through. That you can never be successful in this life without passing through the camp of that woman. This here is called the camp of rest. And now he began to analyze to me what we saw in that camp of women. He now told me that the very first woman I saw is Jezebelic kind. That is her name. That they are the type when a man marries them, from the day you marry them, they'll take over your business. They take over your life. They will begin to control everything that has to do with your life. And if you try to do anything stupid, they will eliminate you. That's one thing about them. The reason is this. You cannot use these women for money making or ritual or anything because they belong to a particular god. As a matter of fact, there is a particular personality that owns them. You can never use them for anything that has to do with ritual. The same thing applicable with the other woman I told you that wore clothes that had covered her nakedness in the midst of other people. That had 3 names, virtues, wisdom, or you call her good. The Bible said that he that findeth what? A good wife. Are you hearing me? The moment you find a good wife, you have found it a good thing. And then favor will come from the hand of the Maker himself. So I was also told the purpose of that woman. Because this particular woman I saw was leading a man behind her. And each of these Delilah kind, each time they tried to touch that man, this woman was busy keeping them away from touching the man before we were led into the camp of rest. So it was the prayer of that woman that was leading that man we followed to the camp of rest. So when you marry a good wife, I still talk about that more because most men do not value them. When they marry a good wife, they find it very difficult to valuing them. Look at the reason. I want to use Jacob as a case study. Jacob married two wives. So the very first wife he got married to, he served the master for how many years? 7 years. After 7 years, he was giving another woman instead of the woman he labored for. And Jacob decided to do what? To labor even more 7 years ahead. To make sure he got married to that particular woman of his desire. So what exactly was Jacob trying to portray? That's the important thing we need to understand. The very first wife that was given to him, apart from the second, was his real wife. That was the woman Jacob supposed to have lived and had joy. The second woman he later labored for as to marry was his ideal wife. What is the difference between an ideal wife and a real wife? Look at the difference here. If you want to find out exactly what I'm talking about, don't tell your woman anything. Don't let her watch this teaching. Go all out there, stand in a camera and ask a cameraman to take a picture. You find out. Every real wife would always want to look at the face of her husband or friend. You come in contact with a lady today, each time you want to take a picture, she's looking at you. That's the woman for you. That's your real wife. So many people ask, how can I find a real wife? This is how you do. So each time you take a picture, you find out each time you take a picture with this lady, even without telling her to look at your face, she will always be looking at the camera. That is your ideal wife. As a matter of fact, all through the days of your life, you work to please her, but you can never please them. You can hardly please them. The reason is this. They don't see you. What they see is what you have. Remember what I told you in the previous teaching. I told you that this kind of women are the ones that see something that each time that thing no longer in existence, they will give up on you. Some dance on the music of money, as I told you, some dance on the music of good dressing, and some dance in the music of popularity, or smooth talker we call orator. But when you come in contact with your real wife, all through the days of her life, she would always strive to please you. She would always crave to making sure that your life gets better. But most of us men, we don't value them. So this is the value of this woman I'm talking about. That woman that was shown to me. That woman that laid that man to that camp of rest. And I was told that was a prayer. But coming back to Delilah kind, they are more in number. As a matter of fact, they are very flexible. You don't need to discard them. You don't need to throw them away because you are the determinant factor. The moment you begin to function, they too will begin to function because they respond to everything that you come up with. Sometimes they make things very difficult for you, but that's not the end game. Because when you fail in your own assignment, equally they too will fail. How? When a Delilah kind of a woman comes into your life, one thing she expects is making sure that you're standing. Because the Bible says, when you must have done all to stand, keep on what? Standing. As long as you're standing, she will stand with you. When you fall, she will fall along with you. That's one thing about them. You can convert them to becoming whatever thing you want them to be. Because they're very flexible. Another thing about them is that most of the people, I'm not trying to kind of introduce people into things that are not really good. Let me use the word, not really good. I was given this revelation very many years ago before the idea of these Yahoo boys selling human women pants and a lot of sacrifice came up. This revelation had come. These Delilah kinds of women are the kind of women people use for sacrifice. Like those that refuse to find it in the path of nature would want to use the blood of these women for sacrifice. This Delilah kind, because they are more in number. The Jezebelic kind are very few. Then the virtuous kind are also very few, because you cannot use any of these species for ritual. You cannot use them for sacrifice. If you do, you pay with your life. So a lot of men uses this woman's blood for sacrifice. Sometimes they use their seed. That's why you can see some wealthy men, what they do is using the seed of that woman to make money. So, but when you come to walk in the path of nature, the most important thing is not looking at the woman, it's your problem. Because 99.04% of the problem you're faced is from your inside. A lot of people talk about ancestral causes and all whatnot. Each master has his own techniques. Every generation is always looking for a man. Your ancestors did their own. There are certain things they did wrong and equally the things they did right. If somebody is trying to tell you that they are trying to deliver you from any of this, they are just deceiving you. Because the whole concern is you. Have you spent time to look inward? Find out from you, yourself, how you lead and live your life. So these women, the idea to help us, the idea to make us or to mark us, if you are not able to understand their mode of operation. So when you begin to relate with this kind of man, don't forget to understand what I told you previously. Know what brought them to you. Is it the money that brought them? The good dressing that brought them? Or your popularity that brought them? So what matters in this kind of situation is what I call maintenance culture. Maintain a particular culture so that you can be able to keep these women abreast. That's just the way it works. If you are lukewarm in the area of working hard, they will unseat you. If you are lukewarm in the area of emotional attention, they will unseat you. If you are equally lukewarm in the area of spiritual insight, equally they will unseat you. The reason is this: because of their nature, so many negativities is attracted to them. How will you know them? Number one is that one thing they always figure out is your weakness. And the moment they figure out that weakness, they are ready to tell it to the whole world. So it is your own duty to make sure you cover that gap at every given time. They will tell the world how weak you are. But the moment you know who you are, there will be no chance, there will be no gap, there will be no vacuum for them to play that kind of game. As a matter of fact, you can live happily with them. You can equally grow and become whatever thing you want to be in life with them, because they don't have a choice. But when it comes to the ideal woman, you come to Jezebelic kind, they have a choice. As a matter of fact, they are little gods, they are deity to themselves. So it's either you serve them or you go the other way. But these ones has no choice. They look up unto you. That's why they are greater in number. So the most important thing is to know how they function. The moment you realize this, you come to the point that success is at your door and nothing shall by any means stop. I know you're blessed with this message. You will not fail to subscribe, like, share. As a matter of fact, you can also download it and share it with your loved ones. It could be of a means of reconciliation in many homes, because so many young people do not exactly know what is happening to them. In subsequent episode, there are so many revelations by the special grace of Chukwu Kikabi, and I'll come up with that will help you. Thank you. I remain your brother, friend, Rabbi Chinedu. Thank you very much.